Welcome to the TheUnraveled.Podcast. My name is Alina.
And my name is Nina.
And today I wanted to talk about first-time homebuyers. I don't think we've
Okay.
done an episode on that before. So I thought it would be great since there's always a lot of first-time homebuyers and maybe just giving them like tips and kind of tips and tricks just on the process, what to expect and whatnot.
Okay.
Anything that you can think of that would stand out as number one, or just important in general, honestly, for a first-time home buyer?
Well, so as someone who at one point was a first-time home buyer
Mhm.
before I was a realtor, and now being in the industry for a period of time, the most important thing you can do is the realtor you choose, because that will make or break your experience.
Fair.
And I'm not just saying that as a realtor. Like, let's say someone chooses not to use a realtor, then you better be educated, because honestly, you could screw yourself over in so many ways you don't even realize. So if you're not going to do that and you're going to hire a realtor, make sure that they will give you the correct representation. Because sometimes I will see a realtor tell a first-time home buyer that a home is great just because the realtor wants to make a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes they'll let things on the inspection slide. They don't know how to counsel in the negotiation, or even they don't even know how to write an offer so that that buyer misses out on a house.
Sure.
So the realtor you choose, you want to make sure not only do they have experience, but that they're compassionate and ethical.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they're wanting what's best for you, regardless of how it ends up for them, that's who you want in your corner. That's who you want representing you.
Sure.
What would you say is, so let's say that's first. What would be another thing that you recommend a first-time home buyer think about? Or, if they're just starting the process of looking, or maybe they've been looking for a while, what's something that they can do to give themselves a better chance?
To piggyback off of you, listen to the realtor.
Oh God, please. Please do that.
I mean, aside from, picking a realtor, I think that's incredibly important, but also listening to your realtor.
Mm-hmm.
I've struggled with relationships with my clients and them really listening to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think the reality is, if you hired me for a specific purpose,
Yeah.
if you're not willing to listen to me, then you might as well do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean that disrespectfully or rude, but truly, like, what are you paying me for? What value am I going to give you if we're not going to actually apply it to your home search and me assisting you? So I think it's really important that you listen to your realtor and what they tell you.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with a buyer right now. I'm dealing with a buyer and a seller right now. A buyer who I've explained the market to them, and I've told them what's practical for their budget and kind of what to expect. They're like wanting a laundry list of things, which again, like, it's expected for a first-time home buyer, but it's our job to educate that buyer to make sure that they're in the right mindset.
Correct.
So they understand what truly to expect, because I don't want to set you up for failure.
Mm-mm.
I don't want you to tell me you want 20 different items, and I'm like, and we're out here looking for these 20 items, and it's not realistic for the market that you're looking in.
No.
So let's narrow that down to 2 or 3 that is practical for the price range and the market that you're looking in, and run with it. Because if you tell me you want a pool and a basement and your budget's $350 in Athens, I'm going to have to be honest with you and tell you that we're not going to find it.
Mm-hmm.
We may find that in the country,
Yeah.
and 2 hours from here, that may be realistic for that market. But and if you want to change that market, that's fine. But I think the most important part is you listening to your realtor, because again, they have your best interest most of them have your best interest in mind. If you're picking the right one, they're going to have your best interest in mind to want to navigate you through the process correctly. But again, if you're not listening to them, you're going to set yourself up for failure and not being able to adequately understand what to expect throughout the process, and also understanding what's practical for this process.
Mm-hmm. And there was, I think it's so important to be honest, because not only do I not want to waste my time, but I also don't want to get their hopes up if what they want does not exist.
Exactly.
There was somebody that reached out to me. They wanted to purchase a property in Oconee County. Under $250 was their budget. They needed a certain amount of closing costs covered. And I understand, because at one point with my first purchase, that I was the same way. But in this current market, what they're looking for 99.9% of the time does not exist.
Mm-hmm.
So is it still something that we would search and help them put an offer on if it comes up? But the likelihood that it will is extremely low.
Correct.
So I could easily just say yes, and waste a bunch of their time and mine, but it's not realistic.
Yeah, and let them think that they're going to find what they're looking for, and then years and months go by, the market's changing, the interest rates are going higher, there's less inventory, and they've wasted all this time thinking they're going to find XYZ when realistically you've told them that they aren't. and they're just refusing to listen to you as the realtor.
Mm-hmm. Another thing I think it's important is you're thinking about hiring a realtor. In the same way, it's very important on who you hire as your lender. So if you trust the realtor you're hiring, please let them recommend a lender to you, because there's just as many realtors, just as many lenders. Some are good, some are bad. And I always tell people, you want to look at the monthly payment. Let's say you're approved for $500,000, but that payment is not comfortable. Taxes are going to go up, insurance is going to go up, and so your payment is going to go up. So it's better to not purchase something based on what you're qualified for, but look at that monthly payment. A lot of people don't do that. If you have a great realtor and a great lender, they will tell you that.
Correct.
Because the ethics matter. But sometimes, I mean, for a realtor, the higher price you purchase, the more money the realtor makes. So if the realtor doesn't ask you that question about what's your level of comfort with your monthly payment, that could be red flag. You know, because...
Or really even the lender, because it's mostly the lender's job to do that. So I agree. And even like, and you talk about listening to who your realtor recommends. Even someone as close as my sister didn't even listen to me. When my sister purchased her house, I was like, hey, here's the lenders I recommend. She wanted to get the best interest rate, the cheapest closing costs, which is all understandable. But what does any of that matter if you can't get to the closing table because your lender couldn't get you there? And then we have to change lenders in the middle of the contract because the lender that you used didn't do their job. And I say all this because the day before closing, when she was supposed to close, she was like, hey, the lender told me I didn't have to pay this in the beginning. Now he's telling me I do have to pay it. And so I called the lender up immediately and I was like, hey, like, what's the deal on this? He was like, I made a mistake. And I was like, okay, but my client shouldn't have to pay this because of your mistake. And I went off on him respectfully. And he's like, I guess we won't go to closing tomorrow. And I said, you know what? We'll close tomorrow. My sister will pay whatever it is that she's supposed to pay, but understand that this service is substandard and what you've done is unprofessional. When you make a mistake, you take accountability for this mistake. If this were me, I would have ate it. And this isn't the first time I've made a mistake in real estate that I've had to eat the cost of it. So I'm very familiar with professionalism. So understand that we're going to close tomorrow and you'll get a terrible review from her and from me, and we'll make sure everyone knows not to use you because you lack professionalism. And he said, hold on, let me call my boss to see what I can do. So he called his boss, and you know what? They ate the difference because it was their mistake. But I say all of that because my sister was trying to she was more focused on the interest rate and the closing cost, which essentially those are all things that could change. Because in the day you're going to refinance anyways, regardless. But if you can't get to closing because you have a terrible lender, none of that matters. None of it matters. But had you take my recommendation, we would have closed and we would have been perfectly fine. And you wouldn't have almost had to pay a little more in closing costs because the lender that you picked didn't have his facts correct.
Honestly, that's one of my biggest pet peeves, whether it's a realtor or a lender or anyone. You're gonna make mistakes. Even if you have the best education and the best intentions, nobody's perfect. But at that point, if you're costing your client money, you need to eat that cost across the board. I have always done it and I will always do it.
Correct.
Thankfully, as time's gone on, I make less mistakes.
Right. And there's less money you lose, but you take accountability when you're wrong.
Correct. Because that's the most important thing. Being honest, saying, hey, I messed this up, but know where I got it. So it doesn't affect their bottom line.
Correct.
And the times that I've done that, the client always works with me again. There is no bad blood because they see I acknowledge that I made an error, but I'm covering it. There's no cost to them. And I think it goes both ways. There was somebody that I'd worked with, a lender I'd worked with for a long time, great lender. There was one deal to where some mistakes were made here and there, and we had a bit of a conversation around that, and it didn't necessarily end in the most positive way. So I didn't send them any more business after that. I didn't leave a bad review. I was just like, well, I can't send this person to my clients because who knows what's going to happen. Luckily, a few months later, they ended up giving me a call and we had a conversation about it, and they acknowledged the errors that they made. And now we're working together again because I just think if you're willing to say, hey, I messed up, I apologize, it's not going to happen again. Or if it does happen again, I'll let you know. That's all it takes. Just be accountable, take responsibility, cover your cost. It's not that hard.
Agreed.
But
I'm trying to think of other tips and things to keep in mind for first-time home buyers. And another thing came to mind was when you're picking a realtor, make sure that realtor, let me rephrase that. As a first-time home buyer, make sure you're open and honest with the people that you're working with, the lender and the realtor, because obviously we cannot assist you better. We can only assist you with the information that we know.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're withholding information or not telling us things, then it makes it more difficult for us to better assist you. So you really have to be open and honest about what you can afford, what you're comfortable with. The last thing we want to do is put you in a house and make you house poor, and then you have to call us a year later to sell it.
Yeah.
Yes, we're happy to sell it, but we want to sell it for the right reasons, not because you were you didn't get what you wanted or things didn't work out or whatever.
And I just tell people, just don't lie. Just don't lie. I'm here to help you in the best way, but I can't represent you properly if I don't know all the information.
Correct.
And I can understand that some things might be embarrassing or personal that you don't want to share, but I don't care about those things. I'm not judging you for those things. My goal is to help you make the most money or for you to purchase a great home or a great investment, whether it's you hold it forever or you sell it. But in order for me to do that properly, I need to know all your information. Let's say you qualify for a $3,000 a month in a payment, but you've been paying $1,200 in rent for the last 20 years. How do you think that's going to go? It's not going to go.
Right.
So I need to know that so I can help you get something that's a little bit cheaper, a little bit more suited towards the budget that you're used to. And there's no shame around it. But
correct.
So many times I don't get all the information. They don't tell me. And then it's a week before closing, 2 weeks before closing, and there's some kind of surprise. Me and the lender are like, well, what do we do now? And then by sheer negotiation, we keep it together. But it would have been so much easier to know that stuff in the beginning.
Right.
And just, if somebody's a buyer or seller, just understand that we are here for you. We're here to support you. We're here to help you. And we just need to know the information.
I think the reality is too, like when you're purchasing a home, it's one of the biggest transactions you'll make in your life. You're spending more money than you do when you purchase a car or anything else, truly. Even $100,000 house, that's a lot of money.
Yes.
And we want to make sure that we're not only there for that journey, but we're here to support you through that journey and help you make the right decision based on whatever you want to do and whatever your goal is. So picking the right realtor, listening to your realtor, giving your realtor enough information to help you make the decision and educate you wisely. And then also I'd add to that with,
honestly,
these brain farts.
Here's another thing that seems very simple, but a lot of people don't realize. When we tell somebody when they're a first-time home buyer, don't make any big financial changes right now.
Oh my goodness, yes.
With love and respect, do not. Just wait 30 days.
Don't go buy a new car while you're under contract. No. Let's not do that.
And don't take out any kind of short-term, long-term loans. Don't purchase a vehicle. Don't deposit a huge amount of money. Don't do anything out of the norm.
Correct.
Just keep your same routine like you typically would. And a lot of people might be surprised how often it happens that is what ruins a deal. That's what will cost you your house.
That is true.
A little tiny choice here and there. I'm thinking, do you really need to get that $90 early? We could have waited on that because now we can't close.
Correct.
And I always tell clients, don't do anything. Don't change anything. Just give us the information. If you're a first-time home buyer, also be responsive. If your realtor and lender are asking you for certain documents, there's a reason for that. So the slower it takes for us to get these documents, the slower it's going to take for us to be able to actually close on the house. And we're not trying to tell you what to do or live your life, but we only ask for these things because we've done it so many times.
Correct.
We know the potential pitfalls that could happen or the obstacles or things that will close, hold up the deal. That's why we want them. We're not trying to control you. It's just the experience that we want you to have a smooth transaction and get a good deal and buy the great property.
Another tip of advice I would say as well is this is your first home. It's not going to be your last one. And I mean, it could be, but it's very rare. The statistic is most first-time home buyer, most people's first home, they only live in for a year, 1 to 5 years. And then they're buying another home. So you're not going to get every single thing you want out of this home. But the goal is to find the things that you need out of this home that are going to get you through the next 5 years at least until you're ready to grow your family. So don't go into this thinking like, oh, I'm going to find this, the perfect dream home. It's going to have everything I need and If it does, awesome, phenomenal. But realistically, you're probably going to sell that home the next 1 to 5 years. That's typically what happens. Or you're going to buy another home the next 5 years and keep that home as a rental property, whatever. But go into this realizing that this is an investment for you. So you're not having to pay rent anymore and you're putting it towards something, but it's not going to be your dream home.
Yeah. I always tell clients, you make money on the purchase, not the sale, because you don't know what you're going to be able to sell it for. So if you overpay up front,
this is true.
It's going to take years and years for the appreciation to catch up. Another red flag you can look out for if you're a first-time home buyer and you've hired a realtor is if they're positive about everything in every house. If every house is amazing, everything's awesome, no. You want somebody who will be able to show you the opportunity in a property, but also realistically tell you all the things that are wrong with it.
Correct.
And you almost want like 70% negative, 30% positive, because that's more realistic and that's protecting your investment.
Correct.
Sometimes I will hear other realtors say, wow, I was listening to you as you were walking through that house with a buyer. You were picking it apart.
It's their job.
Yeah, because if they choose to purchase it, then at that point, then they have all the information they need,
Correct. And I think that's so important because, as realtors, we walk through so many houses. We look at so many houses. We also hear feedback from other buyers or other sellers on things that a house may lack or things that a house may need, that we're more aware of what to look for than the average buyer.
Another thing that I think is important for a first-time home buyer to understand is that your first home may or may not be your forever home. A lot of times it's not. And so to look at it from that perspective, it's partially an investment opportunity. So a lot of people, they get caught up in the emotion. And I understand that's only natural. But if I could go back in time, I would have purchased a duplex in a great location. You live in one side, you rent out the other, you cover the cost, it appreciates, and then you have the option to either rent it out in the future or sell it.
Correct.
Versus something that, a single family home, you won't necessarily have all that flexibility. But again, it depends on location. And you could have a single family home that's in a far better location than the duplex, and that's a better investment. So that's why the realtor you hire is important, because they should know those things. But then it's better to choose a smart purchase. Maybe something that's smaller, something that's cheaper in a better location that it's going to appreciate versus something that's more impressive, but it will never appreciate the same. That's another tip that I wish people would be less emotional. It's a business decision. Try to think of it in that way, because
this is true.
If you make an emotional decision, you could lose tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars because of that emotion. So is that emotion really worth it? Is the question.
And I think I totally agree with that as a first-time home buyer. I think that's very important. But I think that also is going to change too, depending on what phase of life you're in.
100%.
Someone who's looking for their forever home, like an older couple, empty nester, that is an emotional decision.
Yes.
So I just want to make sure that the buyers are aware that for your first home, you're right. Cut the emotion out of it. It is basically an investment for your future. And then as you, over time, depending on what phase your life in, that easily is going to change. Yeah. It may not be an investment anymore. It could be, when you have kids, you're looking for something different, and it can be an emotional decision at that point when you're, it depends on the phase of life for sure. Yeah.
So, a lot of these things, these tips we're giving apply across the board to buyers in general.
Correct.
Because that's the thing. You have to think about what your priority is.
Correct.
But regardless of whether you're a first-time home buyer or if you're downsizing to your last home or you're looking for your forever home, still, the representation you choose
is very important.
Huge, and can make or break the whole thing. So
totally agree.
Well, I think that ends our podcast for today. Thank you guys for watching. We release a new episode every Wednesday. You can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts, and we're also on social media. So come follow, like, and say hi. Thank you for watching.
Bye.